Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
As a young couple, my husband and I moved around a lot. As we got settled in our new home in Chattanooga, Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Noblesville, Indiana, the first thing we'd do was look for a church. Ironically, it always seemed to be the second church we visited. We'd both look at each other after the service and say, "I think that was it." In Chattanooga and Bowling Green, churches, especially in our denomination, could be found on every corner. But Noblesville was well above the Bible Belt, so we ended up at a very small church, 40 people on an Easter Sunday type small, 20 or so on a regular Sunday. In each place we moved, our church was almost our home base. As the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness, they'd stay in one place until they saw the presence of the Lord in the form of a pillar of cloud or fire raise up. And then they'd pack up everything, follow the cloud or fire, depending on if it was day or night, and then stop and set everything up again when the cloud or fire stopped. No matter how long they stayed in that spot, whether 2 days or 2 months, they'd set up the tabernacle, and the Lord's presence would rest there. The tabernacle was the place where Moses and Aaron met with God, where God spoke and guided them. But the Lord instructed them to set it up in the middle of the camp, with the different tribes around it in an orderly fashion, just as the Lord, His law, and His will were to be at the center of their lives. Many years later, when Cyrus, the Persian king, sent the people of Israel back to their land from captivity in Babylon, he told them, "Go up to Jerusalem and build the house of the Lord God of Israel in Jerusalem." They weren't just returning home and rebuilding their houses and lives. They had a job to do first: rebuild the temple. Cyrus even sent with them all the treasures that had been stolen when Nebuchadnezzar had brought the people to Babylon. Their first priority was to restore worship. In fact, the first thing they did when they arrived at the site of the old temple was to rebuild the altar of God so they could start following His law again and bring sacrifices, even before they laid the foundation for the new temple. The people around them tried to discourage them from their goal in many different ways, putting a stop to their building for a time when a new king came along. But they began rebuilding again and finally dedicated it with great fanfare. I've talked to many people who say they used to go to church, but since they moved, they just haven't found a church, 2 years or so after their move. Or people who say they just haven't gotten back to church after COVID, but they watch a preacher on TV or live stream at home. Now that would be fine if church was just a Sunday morning service that you sit and listen to, but that's not what church is. Church is a body of believers who get together to worship God, sometimes several times per week. They pool their resources and use their gifts to minister to the community around them. They encourage one another, providing Bible teaching and other growth opportunities. They support one another in hard times, build one another up, show God's love in so many ways that a single believer by himself couldn't. Going to church is not a duty of a Christian, but a necessity of a believer who loves the Lord and wants to serve Him. It's a place to get spiritually fed and help feed others. We can worship God at home, but serving God through our local church is the best way to allow God to use us to reach the world. It's a family. So if you don't have a local church, or you attend sporadically, or just haven't gotten involved to use your spiritual gifts, now's the time. Find a good Bible-believing church nearby and plug in. Find a new loving family. Ask God how He wants you to use your specific gifts to serve Him and others. And make it your priority.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.